Thank you for tuning into the Forward Together podcast, an extension of Forward Summit, where we bring Indigenous communities together with Canadian industry leaders to spark meaningful conversations. We host some of the most inspiring voices and powerful leaders you'll hear anywhere. And now, those conversations continue year-round, right here on the podcast. I'm your host, Rod Miller, and I have the privilege of sitting down with these incredible guests, sharing their teachings, their stories, and their vision for advancing Indigenous prosperity and building a stronger Canadian economy for all. This is the Forward Together podcast, because the path to a stronger Canada is one we walk together. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Forward Together podcast. I am your host, Rod Miller, also the President and Chief Operating Officer of the Connect Partnership Group. We are the producers of both the Forward Summit and Workforce Forward program. And our goal with this podcast is to connect you to conversations around economic prosperity and Indigenous inclusion across Canada. So it's a pleasure to have you with us again today. And I am so thrilled to have this guest with me. I've been watching this individual's career, I would say, on LinkedIn, which is an interesting vehicle to watch from, but watched a lot of the work that he's done and the presences he has on social media. And I am so thrilled that Corey Janvier is joining us, who is the founder of Cedar Brush Janitorial Industrial Services. I think I got that right, or Cedar Brush Site Services and Janitorial. So sorry about that, Corey. He is a dynamic Indigenous entrepreneur and community leader from Chipewyan, Prairie, Dene First Nation in Northern Alberta, and the founder, as I said, and CEO of Cedar Brush Site Services and Janitorial. He has built a thriving 100% Indigenous-owned and operated business that serves the Metro Vancouver region and beyond, specializing in site services and janitorial solutions for Indigenous organizations, industrial clients, and commercial clients. And Corey, it is a pleasure to welcome you to the Forward Together podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, no, thank you. I've been looking forward to this one. I have kind of been on I guess right now is my golf tour season. I feel like I'm a tour pro going on different golf tournaments throughout the province of BC. I haven't been back to Alberta in a bit just because it's so busy out here. And at the same time, I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements, podcasts, speaking to universities, and this one I've been looking forward to jumping on. And when you reached out, I was thrilled. So,
Awesome.
Like you said, Rod, my name's Corey Janvier. As an Indigenous person, I like to introduce who I am, where I'm from. It really helps ground me for the work that we're going to do, or the meeting that we're going to have, or the speaking engagement I'm doing. It helps ground me. It helps allow those other Indigenous people know where I'm from, because there's a lot of connections throughout Indigenous country. So Corey Janvier from Chipewyan, Prairie, Dene First Nation, which is in northern Alberta. I reside now in West Vancouver. My wife is from Heiltsuk Nation, and our 3 children and 1 grandchild live out here in BC as well. So it's I'm the founder and CEO of Cedar Brush Site Services and Janitorial. Started in August 2021, and I also have a consulting company where I support 4 other businesses through Indigenous partnerships and business development with every major project, structure, oil, gas, pipeline, LNG, you name it. I'm involved with it. So, quick introduction of myself, and happy to be here.
Wow. It's so, my first thought is we got to get you on the Bears Lair, get you connected to Gina if you're not already, because it sounds like that would be a great spot for you to be part of. It's so.
Yeah, no, I was actually season 2 of the Bears Lair, and then I did their podcast. Right
awesome.
After I did the podcast. So,
dang, I thought I got you before Gina
they do,
and Dean did.
Season 3, which I think she's in the works for, and hopefully I could be a guest judge or a guest coach or whatever that may be. Just supporting with my experience, and along with Bears Lair, I was just a past contestant on Dragons Den in Toronto. So I just got back a couple weeks ago from Toronto.
I'm gonna explore that, but what I want to just get started with, though, is you have an interesting background. we see you publicly as the owner of this company, but your career started in social work. So what was it from,
Yeah,
could you share with
exactly.
us your journey from social work to where you are today? And what was it that inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so growing up in Fort McMurray, again, being in the oil sands, my dad worked at Syncrude for
Mm,
37 years, and I have five brothers, so there's six boys in the house. And once we got a little older, when I was just getting into high school, my mom uh, went in and got her early childhood development through Keanu College and started
hmm
working in that field with early childhood development, Head Starts, daycares, and has built a really good career on that. So I kind of went that path just in high school, working at the organizations that she worked at as a
mm,
summer youth worker for youth camps,
hmm
and that was kind of the start of kind of my human services or social work background was in high school. And I guess starting earlier, my entrepreneurial journey has always been with me. Just growing up um, in Fort McMurray, from selling rocks from a gravel driveway and polishing them up and going door to door to the old ladies on the street and trying to sell them some nice looking rocks when I was bored, to try to buy a bag of chips or a slush at the store, to getting a rock tumbler to make some jewelry. Realized that didn't work, and it just took too long to get my return on investment as a teenager or early preteen, shoveling driveways and mowing grass. And that was kind of my early entrepreneurial mindset and experience, was doing that. And then going into social work kind of started in when I was in grade 10, 11, 12.
mm,
And then
hmm
right after grade 12, I moved to Edmonton to Grant MacEwan and did the child
mm,
and youth care diploma program. From there, went to my social work diploma from Musqueam Cultural College.
hmm
Graduated from there and was kind of at a crossroads with what my next step was. I got accepted to the University of Calgary,
hmm
and then I took a chance and applied to a Indigenous post-secondary NVIT, which is based in Merritt. And yeah, I took a chance. Didn't know anybody in the province of BC really, and wanted to change and started my BSW, my Bachelor of Social Work. And I had to be 2005,
And
6.
Merritt's it's a pretty small community, right? Like it's not a big community. So
Yeah,
that's a
it's a
big
pretty
step
small
to kind of,
community, but a great
yeah,
post-secondary.
yeah. I'll be honest. I didn't realize that there was a post-secondary
Yeah.
school that was there. So,
Yeah.
how did Cedar Brush start? So how did
So,
that,
so towards the end of my social work career, I say 2009 was kind of when I finished. I worked with the Stolo Nations in the Fraser Valley, so all the nations within the Chilliwack Hope region, um, and worked at a youth treatment facility, helped kind of get that going with a group of us. And um, the 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 I guess some of the cultural practices that they do for for themselves, for healing and um for cleansing yourself is river dips. So the name
mm,
cedar brush comes from that, right? So taking a cedar branch, going into the river and brushing yourself off, and that really is for protection and to help cleanse yourself and help
yeah.
purify yourself. And that's where the name cedar brush came from. Uh,
Mm,
uh, Kind of prior to that, once I finished up my social work career, opportunity to uh, go back to Fort McMurray and support my cousin's civil construction company. She was looking for some help. She was starting to, and I already had a lot of relationships with the industry just from golf tournaments when I go back
mm,
home or to our
hmm
First Nations golf tournaments. So I was really networking and building my network early even prior to my second career, which was business development. So I
Mm.
helped my cousin's company and got them going from um, Sherry um, Sherry Payne. Her company was Dene Sky, and they
Mm.
did started off with general laborers and water trucks and slashers and small equipment. And I just utilized my network and started reaching out to all the companies and looking for scopes in that civil work, pad development, road work, stuff like that.
Mm.
And yeah, we started getting some bigger work and turned that company from a small operation to a much larger one. Um, and then I then went on my own after that and started another company with two other individuals. We had no equipment, no projects, and within 3 years, we were doing $50 million a year in civil construction.
Wow.
Yeah. And then around 2017, we sold that company to Tanaha Nation. And I then again went on my own with another partner, and we took a business that was doing $2 million a year, providing turnaround labor force, so welders, pipe fitters, millwrights,
Hmm.
scaffolders, insulators, and we took that
Hmm.
from 2 million to 7 million within the first year. And then
Wow,
we
that's
ended up
incredible growth.
not just focusing in Fort McMurray. We got work in Northeast BC with LNG Canada, and built that out. And then the turnaround or the slowdown in the whole industry came on, and my my wife was in the health sciences field, and this is kind of fast forwarding to about 2019 or 18. My wife and I decided to move from Calgary back to Vancouver. She got a job at the First Nations Health Authority as a health research analyst, and decided to take a break from the oil and gas and that industry again. It was a good run, but it definitely took a toll on family life and because
Yeah.
it's nonstop, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I wanted to take a break and reset, and I did quite well over the years. So, worked at a golf course, just being a marshal and still reaching out to my connections as I'm driving around the golf course and seeing who's doing what. And
I love that.
um, yeah, and then I guess I'm getting to the point of how Cedar Brush started, and we can kind of go on from there. So in 2020, and you know what happened there? That was COVID, right? So the
Yeah.
whole world
Yeah.
changed, and um,
Yeah.
not much was going on. I was doing some consulting with another group, an Indigenous management group, and nobody knew what was really going on. People's wages or consulting fees, whatever, were kind of getting cut in
Hmm.
half because we weren't sure, right? Um, and as country and the province and the city of Vancouver, people started looking at going back into the workplace. I said, as an entrepreneur, always looking at starting a business, growing something, employing people. I knew some people that worked in hotels or worked as janitors
Hmm.
through my wife's family. And I said, there's definitely an opportunity here to support Indigenous nonprofits and organizations to go back to the office.
Mm.
And so I reached out to all the different nonprofits and Indigenous organizations in Vancouver and reached out and said, hey, can you come take a look? We want our place fully disinfected.
Mm.
Because I had a disinfectant sprayer and the solution that would kind of help ease people's comfort level coming back into the office. And from there, I did the service, and they said, "Would you consider doing janitorial work?" That, yeah, I guess so. So twice a week, I gave them a price just from my background in the oil and gas industry. Just price the time and material, figure out, okay, it's going to cost this much. This is how much time it's going to take, and gave them a price. We signed a 1-year contract. And okay, now I have a business, but I have no business name. That's where the name Cedar Brush came in. I thought it was a very fitting name. And I just didn't want to be a janitorial company because
Yeah.
I didn't want to limit myself to that. So I added site services to it, which was a huge benefit, allowing me to do other um, uh, divisions within the company and look at not just nonprofits and social housing or commercial janitorial.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just started our first day with BC Hydro yesterday. So that's kind of my largest client to date. Um, but yeah, so I got the name, got the contract. So I needed equipment. So I went on Facebook Marketplace, $400 investment. Now you're looking at three years later or 4 years later, three and a half, I guess. And doing this year at my peak, I had 52 employees in April and May, about 90% Indigenous.
Wow.
Some had their children were Indigenous.
Hmm.
So really trying to keep that Indigenous employment focus.
Yeah.
And then doing this year, we're going to do about 1.2 million in revenue. So really started with one mop bucket, one broom. Last year did about 60,000, and the year before about 680 or something like that. Um,
Wow.
so the growth has been tremendous in the past.
Well, that's incredible, and congratulations on the
Yeah.
success. And one of the questions I have for you was, I had last year at Forward Summit West, I had the opportunity to participate in a Cedar Brush ceremony to bless the event, and I'm a smudger. My background is Métis, and I smudge, but I got to tell you, the Cedar Brush was a phenomenal experience to be part of. What Well, did that come to you just like in a moment, or was that something you thought through, or how did it come out? Cedar Brush was
Um,
the name.
yes, because I'm Dene and our practices were sweat lodges and they do
Yeah.
that out. So when I was working at that treatment center and that, it's learning from other nations and other traditional the way that they do things. It was really eye opening, right? Because they're so different, and even in
Mm,
BC here, you got one nation from the interior to the Fraser Valley to the coast to the island. Their languages are different. Their practices are different. Um, so it was really for me to experience that. It was a pretty important, um, not a milestone, but a pretty important thing to be a part of, and
yeah.
learning other nations' culture and traditions, right? And the way that they do
Yeah. It
things,
really
and
honors the
that
land you're
cedar
on, right?
brush
Because
and
you're,
brushing yourself off in the
yeah,
river in the middle of the winter was a very powerful thing, right? So
I bet.
that's
Yeah.
that always stuck with me, and right away that was the name that I picked because it just totally made sense. So,
Wow. That's an incredible backstory. So my question as a follow-up to that is, obviously in the naming, there is this cultural significance in the name. How do you ensure that Indigenous cultural values are integrated into your business operations? You've shared that you hire people, the majority of your
yeah.
employees are Indigenous. How do you ensure that those cultural values are
So
alive in your business?
so the work that we do is again, we have various clients. So with our different divisions, and I'll go over it quickly. And again, I kind of tell a
Mm,
story, but when I tell a story, it all comes to what you're trying to get answered. So again, we started off with just nonprofit commercial janitorial. That company then reached out to all of their members because they were Metro Vancouver Aboriginal
mm,
Executive Council.
mm-hmm,
So all
mm-hmm,
of the nonprofits and Indigenous organizations were a part of this group. So they sent our information out. Um, and then we got asked to do some junk removal in social housing in the downtown east side. So
mm-hmm.
very tough place to work, a lot of issues. But over the years, it's opened my eyes to the community that's down there.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Um, so a very interesting place to work. We do a lot in the downtown east side. So we have commercial janitorial, site services, which is everything from junk removal, biohazard cleaning, um, pest control, wheat repairs and general housing maintenance and painting and drywall, anything kind of general labor based to support
Mm-hmm.
everything from housing, social housing, communities. Like we do a nationwide junk removal for Squamish Nation for
Mm,
every household, which is a big project every spring. We have Indigenous home care, which again, from doing site services and helping families move with one of our clients, Vancouver Aboriginal Child and Family Services. They asked, okay, you provide cleaning services. Would you like to? Right now, we're using a national name company I don't want to name, but very impersonal, right? They just come do the work and leave.
right.
So
Right.
again, I had a great team that from our commercial janitorial, and we started home care division, so non-medical home care services. And that, again, as you talk about cultural and how to keep that in my business, that is probably one of the divisions. I guess they all tie together, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially our site services and home care. So when we go and work with a family, we really look at it through that Indigenous lens, right? We just don't want to go grab their stuff, grab whatever wanted items they want, throw it in a truck and take off, right? Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then after we're done, we just don't want to send a cleaner in there, clean the place and go. We really
Mm-hmm.
want to work with the family and not s- sometimes not going to be the same day that it's finished. We really want to take the time. We go in with myself, my home care manager. We get to know the family, get to know who they are, get to know where they're from. A lot of times there's relationships that I have with people from their communities because I deal with so many different communities across Canada. So
Yeah.
it really helps break down that barrier when you have Indigenous team members working with Indigenous families or
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous elders. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
big
Mm-hmm.
difference with our company as compared to all the other ones out there. We're there to support them at a time that is very tough for them. But
Mm-hmm.
when somebody's coming in and grabbing their stuff and chucking it in the back of the truck, they don't feel good, right? So when we
Right.
go
Right.
there, we make sure that we work with the family to say, okay, we're going through every item and saying, okay, where do you want this? Do you want this in this pile? So it's really
Yeah.
working like as you see on the show Hoarders is we're not just blasting in there. You really want to take that compassionate and cultural
Yeah.
approach to our services. And that's with everything that we do is looking at it through that lens and really supporting our clients with the work that we do. And in turn breaks down that barrier and we're able to achieve the work that we need to do and allows us to continue working with the family because we built that relationship, right? It's they
Right.
they they
Right.
have they can reach out to us if they have any concerns. We really have an open communication with our clients and our clients' clients. So it really works well. And we also do like if somebody passes away and we're cleaning their stuff out, we ensure that we smudge the place before, we smudge the
Yeah.
place after, smudge our team members. So really we tie that cultural component into important work like that. Um, and then as well, not only are we looking after our clients, I've implemented a Four Directions resource worker,
Mm.
an individual that was cleaning offices and he ended up getting pretty sick and was in the hospital for half a year and um,
Well.
just wanted to kind of keep him involved and even though he wasn't able to clean offices when he was in the hospital or on bed rest, I was ensuring that he was involved in the company by researching cultural events or powwows or sweats or and then that's again where I created the role. I said, okay, we need to look after our team members. So look at it like the four directions: your physical, emotional, spiritual. Um,
Hmm.
and and let's support our team members if they're needing support for filling out housing applications and need reference letters, or somebody's needing extra support because we deal a lot of individuals that are either dealing with addictions or just coming off of out of treatment or whatever that may be. Like I have an individual, he was working with us, but he started getting into to drinking he was still working, but you could tell he was starting to go downhill. And um,
Hmm.
we sat down with him and he ended up going to treatment. He should be out here in a couple weeks. So really supporting our team members on that four directions, ensuring that
Wow.
we're supporting them at all levels, right from cultural to emotional to physical to spiritual. Yeah,
That is that's incredible. So I hear what you're saying is not only are you compassionate as an organization, you're grounded in ceremony,
yeah,
you're an organization that has empathy, and you're an
yeah,
organization built on connection, which is exceedingly powerful.
yeah, yeah. And it's the model and model is there, right? Like with the four different divisions, the last one being
Yeah,
Indigenous staffing, providing on-call coverage, especially in the downtown east side. There's a lot of turnover, a lot of people taking sick days, a lot of people quitting, whatever that may be. So we provide temporary janitorial, building managers, admin staff, a lot of the social housing, Indigenous housing. Um, yeah, so I've really built a model, even though there's so many different moving parts, they all fit together with one client. So rather than one client going to somebody for a biohazard
yeah.
clean, then another company for pest control, another company for junk removal, another company to take care of the family with their weekly cleaning and laundry and supporting the mother, the grandmother of three grandchildren. We really take all of those divisions, they all work well together. And that model works in First Nation urban communities,
Yeah.
isolated communities, major cities with a high Indigenous population. So it's a model is there, the expansion is coming. Um, and yeah, I think we do it different than everybody else out there, right? So I think I
Yeah.
built something
The other word
special
that
and
comes
it's,
to mind, the other word that comes to mind, Corey, is trust. Is
yeah,
you build trust not only within your team, but also to the clients that you provide these services to.
yeah.
It's an I'm talking right now MBA class. I mean, I think there's an opportunity to stand in front of MBA students and share this story because it's phenomenal.
Well,
The
funny thing is, when I started Cedar Brush, I started my MBA at the exact same time.
did you?
So I did my MBA at the exact same time as I started the company.
Well, congratulations
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What were
So
some
there's
of the challenges you faced though? So I mean, obviously it's not easy. You've got multiple divisions, you've got multiple kind of priorities that you're building. That holistic model is what are some of the challenges that you faced as a
again,
100% Indigenous-owned business?
yeah, I think the biggest challenge um, for me is trying to scale this business without no loans, line of credit, credit cards. Everything has
Yeah,
been a cash business to now.
yeah.
Um, it's an Indigenous business. There's great funding avenues out there, and I think that's the next step is trying to navigate that process, which it's not as simple as it sounds. I think there's a lot of work that I need to put into it.
Yeah.
But as me trying to run this business, do consulting to help support the business, because again, finance I think is the biggest hurdle. Um,
Hmm.
as a business owner of any level.
Yeah.
When you start out,
Yeah.
I again, a lot of Indigenous people can't remortgage their house to start a business because they don't own the land. They may
Yeah.
own the house, but it just doesn't work in Indian country to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest challenges to find people for me hasn't been hard. I've had a really good retention level
Mm.
uh, because I don't do interviews. If somebody reaches out to me that wants to work, we get their information, get them signed into our system. We utilize a lot of technology and apps and to really streamline our business and give them a little orientation. And if they like it, they like it. If that role is not good for them, I move them to a different role. But I've been able to retain a lot of people by working with them and understanding them, right? Not so there's no really challenges in finding good people because there's a lot of good people out there. You just gotta look at it with an open mind and an open
Yeah.
book, right? A lot of people won't hire some of the people I hire because they might have criminal past or they're coming off
Right.
addictions straight from
Right.
treatment, right? But if they reach out to me, that means something that they want to change. We put them in a place where hopefully they can succeed with us. And there's people that are going to go backwards a few times, but they're going to take more steps forward um, working with us. So, but the biggest challenge, I like I said, is trying to expand this business with no lines of credit, loans, or credit cards, right?
Yeah.
I've done it from that $400 investment and just kept building and building and building and building. But that's next step is really releasing some of the reins as a business owner to get
Hmm.
somebody to look after the invoicing, get somebody to look after because right now I do all the invoicing and all the payroll, right? So it's
Yeah.
as a business owner, that's probably the last piece that you let go is that financial aspect.
Yeah.
But that then will free up time for me to start building out the grant applications and working with
Yeah.
companies like Raven
Th-
Investment and working with
right.
the different funders out there to be able to scale my business. But it's just it doesn't take an afternoon to do that, right? So
No. No.
finding the time and finding the resources to do that. Yeah.
Well, what was it? So, what was it like to be in the Bears lair? And I'm thinking pretty cool experience to do that. You said you were on Dragons Den. Has that has that national recognition? Um, has that helped you? Has that helped expose kind of you, the business model, the opportunity for you to grow
Yeah.
nationally into
Again,
different markets?
yeah, it definitely was huge. It was nice to pitch my business to some really good business leaders out there, Dave Tucker, which I know personally. Um, and he didn't know what I was doing, so he was quite surprised to what I built in BC. Because again, I
Mm,
have a lot of relationships in Alberta and Fort McMurray in northern Alberta, but across Western Canada, um, I don't have any social media except LinkedIn. So
mm,
I don't have Facebook or Instagram or so most of the time it's when people are wondering how I'm doing, it's either word of mouth or LinkedIn. Um, yeah, so that going on Bears Lair, the exposure to what I was doing and really solidify that I was doing the right thing. Being accepted onto
mm,
that show was huge,
mm.
and being up there with the national level, right? Being selected out of one of 16 companies across the country
Yeah.
is a big thing over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applicants. Um, it, it it just solidifies that my business is on the right path, and then going on the show and talking about my business. Those business leaders, they're almost like an eagle, right? They see things at a higher level than I do. I'm right at that ground level in the trenches, even though I have that entrepreneurial mindset and really build strong businesses and but I'm still at that ground level because I'm still doing day to day, but I still envision where I want this. That's how I've been able to grow it. Having their input and their thoughts and their discussion on Bears Lair was huge, right? And from them, from that eagle eye vision, um, it really helped slow down what I was doing because
Mm,
I wanted to get into a few other things, and they no, just keep it where in your lane. You're doing a good thing, so it was good to do that, and then to meet all the other entrepreneurs as well, from all different industries and specialties and what they do. It was so good to learn from them, um, and that's what the Bears Lair did so good is they made it about us as Indigenous entrepreneurs.
right.
So they coached us. They brought in the right people. We got together as a group for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and it wasn't okay. You're gonna in the green room. Okay, you go on. Now you're done. Time to go home. They really
Yeah.
made it about the entrepreneurs. Gina did a great job of that show, and um, yeah, it's just gonna get better. It was such a good
Wow.
experience, and as me as an Indigenous entrepreneur, you're like your head is down, going full on trying to build a
Yeah.
business and employ people and manage it and
Yeah.
get new contracts and the business development. But being on that show, it just solidified that I'm doing the right things.
So having done all that you've done up to this point, I got a couple more questions, but I think this might be the second to last one because I do want to talk about your future. But looking back to all the experiences, what would be the top, let's say, three things, three pieces of advice that you would give other Indigenous entrepreneurs who are considering starting up their own business? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think the very first word of advice is just do it. If you have that passion, you're thinking about it, and it's something that you're passionate about, and you feel you can make a difference in your life and other people's lives, whatever it is. If it's a catering company, if you're a chef looking to go out on your own, if you're making jewelry, that makes changes in people's lives, right? Especially jewelry, especially food, especially
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it is. If you have the passion to do it, just do it. I think the second word of advice is structure your business early, right from
Mm,
legal to finance. Get everything set up that you're going to be $1 million business next year. Don't set it up too
hmm.
late. So understand the
Hmm.
finance, understand the taxing, people in the right place, ask questions to other entrepreneurs. So building that structure in your company early was one thing
Hmm.
that I did, um, because I knew I was going to grow, um, and wanted to ensure that I was set up to grow. So building that structure and understanding the finance side of the things, understanding the taxation, um, understand that corporate side of the business is really
Yeah.
important. Um, and I think the third part is for me it's always do it with that Indigenous lens. How can I impact
Mm,
Indigenous families? How can I impact my
hmm.
Indigenous community? Okay, because it
Hmm.
all goes outwards, right? From an individual to a family to a community, and then outwards from there. So, what is it that you're going to do, and how are you going to impact and make a change? I think that's a third piece of advice, and really stick to that as your driving factor of your
Hmm.
whys of
Hmm.
how are you going to make a change in Indian country, and what is
It,
that going to do for you, and what is that going to do for your family, and what is it going to do outwards from there?
yeah, for your community. Um, you've got this absolutely, really beautiful business model that is really centered on kind of indigenous principles and cultural aspects and ways of knowing. So my last question for you today, this has been one of my best conversations, by the way, Corey. My last question is for you. We talked a little bit about your trip to Mexico and going on a holiday, so I want you to think of this one from this perspective. So, 5 years from now, you're on the beach in Mexico, you're looking out to the ocean. What would you want to have accomplished by then? So, in the next 5 years, what is it that you want to accomplish?
I think the biggest thing is I want to be able to franchise this business.
Mm,
Again, it's going to take time to build the model, build that foundation, because right now it's set up really well, but I need to set up the procedures, the policies, what exactly needs to go into franchising that business to allow other Indigenous entrepreneurs, Indigenous organizations, or communities to buy into this model in other major cities, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Kelowna, Kamloops, Victoria.
yeah.
There's need for what I do. The best way to get it out there is build it so other entrepreneurs can put the passion in that I do to help change their communities. So I think franchising model business is what I see. And in regards to the home care division, I want to add medical home care. So
Mm,
we have Indigenous nurses, health professionals working with our elders, working with our families through an Indigenous organization. So indigenizing and providing that health side of the things, the medical care is one thing that I want to expand to,
hmm.
um, and just keep building what I built and putting Indigenous people to work. So, um, yeah, I think the biggest thing is franchising. Again, there's a big financial benefit to that.
Yeah.
Um, but in turn, we're employing that many more Indigenous people and we're supporting that many more Indigenous families as a turnkey, compassionate cultural company, right? So,
Yeah, and you're really giving other Indigenous entrepreneurs to share in the success of what you've been able to
yeah,
create with your leadership and your guidance through a franchising model.
yeah,
Wow, man. Um, Listen, this has gone by so fast. I just wanted to take
yeah,
a moment to really thank you, and I'm so grateful that you were on the podcast today. And I just wish you nothing but the best. I can't wait to continue conversations with you like this, but also just continue to watch your businesses thrive and grow. And you are an inspiration for many. And it's been a pleasure
yeah,
to sit here with you for the last half an hour just talking about this stuff. So thanks, Corey, so much for joining us today.
yeah, for sure. It was a pleasure. And yeah, for those listening, I'd just suggest follow my LinkedIn and you'll see what I got going on.
And 100%, we'll make sure we put the LinkedIn connection on the
Yeah,
podcast, but it's published as well too. Awesome. Thanks, Corey. Thanks so much for coming.
thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the Forward Together podcast. These conversations share the voices, stories, and teachings that are shaping Indigenous prosperity and strengthening Canada's economy. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if your company would like to support and amplify these important conversations, connect with our media partner, the Davis Media Company, publisher of Forward Magazine, to explore sponsorship opportunities. And of course, the best way to experience these conversations is in person. Join us at Forward Summit East in Ontario, October 8th and 9th, where Indigenous communities and industry leaders come together to build relationships, share knowledge, and create lasting partnerships. It's an incredible opportunity to learn, to listen, and to be part of Canada's journey toward a stronger, more inclusive economy. Let's keep listening, learning, and walking this path. Forward together.